All right. So, have you ever been to like a networking event or maybe, like a party or some kind of social gathering and you're like surrounded by all these people who could like open doors to like, amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
But then you're like, how do I make a connection that actually sticks? Like,
Yeah.
how do I make a good first impression? And how
Right.
do I actually like have a conversation that goes beyond, just like the weather or, what do you do for work?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be diving into today.
I love it.
We're going to be exploring this whole world of Japanese small talk, or zadan, which is based on this book
Okay.
called Super First Class Chatting Power by Tadashi Yasuda.
Oh, wow.
And even if you don't speak Japanese, like these insights are seriously going to like transform your communication game.
That's awesome.
Like I was reading this book and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like
Really?
gold.
Yeah.
So
what is it about this book that, like, elevates this casual chit-chat
yeah.
to something much more powerful?
That's exactly what Yasuda does in this book, is that he takes this idea of zadan, which is, just like everyday casual conversation,
Right.
and he elevates it to this like powerful tool
Yeah.
for building relationships and achieving success.
Interesting.
And he argues that like in a world where, everything is so fast paced and, you have like, maybe 2 minutes to talk to someone before, you get interrupted or something like that.
Yeah.
He says that mastering this art of conversation, even like the seemingly insignificant small talk, can give you like a serious edge.
So it's not just meaningless chatter.
No, it's not meaningless
It's
chat.
something more strategic.
Exactly. And it's something that you can use to your advantage.
I like that.
So where do we even like start with this?
Yeah. What's the first step?
What's the first step to like leveling up our Zodadan skills?
Right.
So Yasuda really emphasizes the importance of first impressions.
Okay.
And he actually cites all this research that shows that judgments about a person are formed incredibly quickly.
Wow.
Sometimes within like the first minute or even like the first 4 minutes.
That's so quick.
It's so quick. So like basically nailing those initial moments is like super key to making like a positive impact.
Yeah, like it's make or break.
It's make or break.
In those first few seconds.
Right. And I think we've all had that experience where we meet someone and we're like,
Oh.
I like this person. Or, oh,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Right.
But it's not just about like having some kind of like killer opening line.
Right.
Right.
It goes deeper than that.
It goes way deeper than that. So one of the things that Yasuda suggests is to use what he calls strategic self-disclosure.
Okay.
Right from the start.
Interesting.
So this isn't about like spilling your deepest, darkest secrets or
Right.
anything like that. It's more about sharing relatable anecdotes
Okay.
that create a sense of trust and connection.
So it's finding that sweet spot between being professional, but also letting your personality
Yes.
shine through.
Exactly. And it's like giving people a glimpse into who you are beyond your job title or your resume,
Yeah,
you know?
I like that.
And so instead of saying like, oh, I'm an accountant, you might say I'm an accountant, but I secretly dream of opening a bakery someday.
Hey, that's a good one.
Right?
That's
So
good.
it's like, oh, okay.
Like, tell me more about this bakery.
Exactly. And it's like, what kind of bakery would you open? What kind
Yeah.
of pastries would you make? It just gives you that little like hook
I love
to
that.
like keep the conversation going.
Mhm.
But I've got to be honest, like sometimes I struggle with making my stories engaging.
Yeah.
I feel like I just end up like reciting a boring list of facts.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
It's hard to like keep people on the edge of their seats.
Yes. And so Yasuda actually gives us these 2 really cool tips, and it's using onomatopoeia
Oh, fun.
and choi mori.
Ooh, Choi Mori. I like that.
So onomatopoeia, those are words that imitate sounds.
Okay.
Like buzz or crash.
I see.
And he says that adding those types of words to your language actually makes it more dynamic.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
instead of saying like, I dropped my phone, you might say, I dropped my phone and it went crash.
Crash.
Right. And it just kind of like adds that extra oomph
Yeah.
to your story.
So it's like adding sound effects.
It's like adding sound effects to your words.
Yeah.
And then toi moria.
Yes. Choi Mori. What is that?
So toi mori means adding a little extra.
Okay.
And it encourages you to use creative embellishment to make your anecdotes more compelling.
Wait. So it's not lying.
It's not lying.
It's just making it more.
It's like finding a more interesting way to say something.
Oh, I see.
Right. So instead of saying like, oh, I had spicy ramen,
Mm-hmm.
you might say, oh my gosh, I had ramen and it was so spicy. It felt like a volcano erupted in my mouth.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
It's like you're painting a picture.
It's like you're painting a picture with your words.
Yeah, I love that.
And so it just makes it more memorable.
Definitely.
It's like, oh, I got to try that ramen.
What could it
Exactly.
mean? I want to know where you got this volcano ramen.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Right. So we're using self-disclosure, we're using onomatopoeia, we're
Mhm.
using shoyamori, we're like building this conversational masterpiece. But
Right.
what happens when conversations hit a snag?
Oh, yeah.
You know those moments where you disagree with
Oh, yeah.
someone
Oh, yeah.
and things get a little
Awkward.
Yeah, so what do we do in
Yeah.
those situations?
Like, how do you handle that?
So Yasuda introduces this tactic for navigating disagreements gracefully,
Okay.
and he recommends using the phrase ukatsu deshita.
Dukatsu deshita.
Ukatsu deshita,
Okay.
which roughly translates to that was careless of me.
Careless of me.
But what if you're like, no, I actually believe I'm right?
Yeah.
Like,
Why would I?
Isn't that a bit misleading?
Right.
So here's the thing. In Japanese culture, directly contradicting someone, especially someone who's like senior to you or someone you've just met,
Okay.
it can be perceived as like super disrespectful.
Hmm.
So saying okatsu deshika actually allows you to acknowledge the other person's perspective
Uh-huh.
without creating conflict.
So you're not necessarily admitting fault.
Right.
You're
It's
just
just like acknowledging their opinion
showing respect.
and keeping the conversation flowing smoothly.
Got it.
So you're not like,
I like that.
yeah, you're not like getting into this like,
Yeah. No heated arguments.
yeah, no heated arguments. No one's getting upset.
Yeah. Just keeping it light.
And, you know, this concept actually ties back to the importance of kaigo in Japanese culture.
Oh, Kaigo. Yeah.
So kaigo is the honorific language system.
Right.
But how does that relate to disagreeing with someone?
Yeah.
So kaigo, it goes beyond just using polite words.
Okay.
It's actually like a whole system of showing respect through every aspect of your communication,
Interesting.
including how you handle differing viewpoints.
Okay.
So by using a phrase like ukatsu deshita, you're demonstrating this like a level of difference and consideration.
Right.
That's like deeply ingrained in Japanese communication.
Yeah.
And so even though we don't have like a formal kaigo system in English, we can still apply that underlying principle of respect
Mm-hmm.
and find ways to acknowledge different perspectives without being confrontational.
Yeah.
So it's about creating this space where everyone feels heard
Right.
and respected.
Yeah.
And it actually leads to more productive and enjoyable conversations.
Exactly.
Because no one likes to feel like they're being attacked or like their opinion is not valued.
Right.
It's so cool how like a simple phrase
Yeah.
can reveal so much about a culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a little window into their values and how they communicate.
You're true.
And it highlights how Zayden isn't just about making small talk. It's
Mhm.
actually about building meaningful connections
Mm-hmm.
through mindful communication.
That's a good point.
So we've talked about making a great first impression.
Right.
We've talked about spicing up our stories
Mm-hmm.
and navigating these like tricky disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
But Yasuda takes it a step further.
Oh, he does.
He
What does
does.
he say?
He suggests that we should view new acquaintances as potential mentors.
Really?
I know.
That's bold.
It's bold, right?
Yeah.
And he actually offers a very bold approach to making that happen.
And intrigued, lay it on
And
him.
so he recommends that you express genuine admiration for the person's insights,
Okay.
ask for guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and you can even directly ask, can I be your fan?
Wow.
Would you be my mentor?
That's so direct.
It's very direct.
Yeah.
And I think especially in a Western context, that might feel
A little forward.
a little forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of like it.
I kind of like it too,
Yeah.
because it shows that you're serious
You're serious.
about learning and growing
Yeah.
and that you value their expertise.
Exactly.
And Yasuda's point is that by positioning yourself as someone who is eager to learn
Yeah.
and grow, you actually create this like powerful dynamic that can unlock a wealth of knowledge and support.
It's true.
So it's about showing that respect
Yeah.
and that willingness to be mentored. And even if you don't like directly ask someone to be your mentor, just that mindset of approaching conversations
Right.
with that kind of like
Mentorship.
lens can be super valuable.
Absolutely.
But I'm terrible with names,
Oh,
let
yeah.
alone remembering someone's hometown or their favorite hobby.
Right. All those little details.
All those little details. So how do we like remember all this stuff?
Right. How do we talk our memory game?
Do I need to start carrying around like a notepad?
Do we have to like
Accurate.
everywhere I go?
Everywhere I go.
To every
Yeah, so Yasuda actually suggests this. He says you can keep a small talk notebook.
a small talk notebook.
I love this idea.
That's so cute.
It's so cute
Yeah.
and it's so
Yeah.
helpful. So you just like jot down interesting facts or stories or details
Okay.
that people share with you.
Right.
And then when you follow up,
Yeah.
you have this like treasure trove of
Yes.
personalized information.
That's such a good idea.
I know.
It shows that you're paying attention.
Yes.
You're listening.
Yes, that you care.
Yeah.
And that you were actually listening.
Exactly.
So it's like,
People love that.
yeah.
Remember those little details.
It's like a secret weapon for building lasting connections.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Slow talk notebook. I'm going to start doing that.
I'm telling you, it's a game changer.
I love it.
So we've talked about making a great first impression,
Yeah.
just spicing up our stories,
Yeah.
navigating disagreements like a pro, and even viewing new acquaintances as potential mentors.
I like it.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the art of Game.
Oh, there's more.
There's so much more.
I can't wait. There's so much more to this whole, art of conversation.
Yeah.
Than just, the words themselves.
Right, like how we say things matters.
Yes, exactly. And Yasuda actually talks about this in the book.
Okay.
He says that delivery is just as important as content when it comes to making a lasting impression.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Like, I've definitely been in situations where someone's telling me, like, a really interesting Yodori, but they're, like, mumbling or they're talking really quietly, and I'm like...
Yeah, you can't even hear them.
Yeah, I can't even hear you, and I'm, like, losing interest.
Right.
Like, what are you saying?
It's like they're not even confident in their own story.
Exactly. And so Yasuda actually says that a low, quiet voice can make you seem, like, insecure or unsure of yourself, even if you have, like, brilliant ideas.
It's true.
So he suggests that you project your voice and even aim for a pitch that's slightly higher than your usual speaking voice.
Oh, that's interesting.
A higher pitch.
Yeah, I always thought that, speaking in a lower tone made you sound more authoritative.
Yeah, it's a common misconception, but think about it this way.
Okay.
A slightly higher pitch actually conveys energy and enthusiasm.
I see.
So it makes you more engaging and, like, pleasant to listen to.
Yeah, like you're excited to be there.
Exactly.
And you're excited to share what you have to say.
Okay, I'm willing to try it out.
Yeah.
What other, like, vocal tips does he have?
Okay, so Yasuda also emphasizes the importance of rhythm and pacing.
Okay.
So he suggests using shorter sentences and varying your speed to create a more dynamic flow.
So don't just, like, talk in a monotone.
Exactly. And he even compares it to the skills of a comedian.
Comedians?
Yeah.
What do they have to do with Zayden?
Well, think about how a comedian uses pauses and inflections. And even silence to keep the audience engaged.
Okay, yeah.
They know how to build anticipation and deliver punchlines with perfect timing.
Yeah, they're masters of that.
They are, and Yasuda believes that we can all learn from these techniques to make our conversations more interesting and lively.
So it's not just about what we say, but it's how we say it.
Exactly.
Using our voice as an instrument to create impact.
I love that analogy.
And loving of creating impact, Yasuda actually suggests that there are times when strategically using silence can be incredibly effective.
Like those awkward silences?
Like those awkward silences that we try to avoid.
Yeah, like why would we want to create silence?
Right. So think of it like a dramatic pause in a movie. It creates a sense of anticipation, and it focuses the listener's attention.
Okay.
And so Yasuda recommends using this technique when you're about to transition to an important topic or deliver a key message.
Oh, that's interesting.
So instead of just, like, blurting out, I have a proposal for you, you might pause for a moment to create that sense of intrigue.
Oh, I like that.
And be like, okay, I have something important to tell you.
It's like adding a little bit of suspense.
Yeah, adding a little suspense.
Yeah,
right.
keep them on the edge of their seat.
Keep them on the edge of their seat.
Yeah.
But, I also struggle with, like, organizing my thoughts.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm trying to explain something complex.
It's hard to know where to start.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Yasuda has this really great technique for that.
Okay, what is it?
He calls it the 3-point rule.
The 3-point rule.
The 3-point rule.
Okay, I like rules. Tell me more.
So it's super simple but effective.
Okay.
Before you dive into a detailed explanation,
Okay.
you preview your main points
Okay.
by saying something like, there are 3 key things I wanted to discuss, or I have 3 main reasons why I think this is a good idea.
So you're setting expectations.
You're setting expectations.
And giving the listener a roadmap.
And giving them a roadmap so they know where the conversation is going.
So they don't get lost.
So they don't get lost.
Right.
And it also forces you, the speaker, to be more organized and concise.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, I have 3 points I need to make. Let me make sure I hit all of them.
Yeah, don't go off on a tangent.
Don't go off on a tangent.
Too many tangents.
Too many tangents.
I do that.
We all do it.
Yeah.
But, going back to this idea of, like, storytelling,
Yeah.
Yasuda talks a lot about the importance of being a good storyteller.
Right. Everyone loves a good story.
Right. But what makes a story truly captivating?
Yeah. Is there like a formula for success?
Yasuda actually introduces this traditional Japanese storytelling structure
Oh, wow.
called Kisho Tenketsu.
Kisho Tenketsu?
Kisho Tenketsu.
It sounds a little intimidating.
It sounds very intimidating.
Break it down for us.
Okay, so it's a 4-part structure
Okay.
that differs from the typical Western storytelling approach.
Okay.
So it starts with ki, which is the introduction,
Okay.
where you set the scene and introduce the characters.
Right. Setting the stage.
Setting the stage, then comes show the development,
Okay.
where you expand upon the introduction
Uh-huh.
and provide more context.
Okay, so far so good.
So far, so good. But here's where it gets interesting. The third part is 10. The twist.
A twist.
A twist.
Like a plot twist.
Like a plot twist in a movie or a book.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's where you introduce a surprising element or like a change in perspective
Oof.
or an unexpected turn of events.
Okay.
And finally, we have ketsu,
Gets it.
which is the conclusion, but
Yeah,
this conclusion is a little bit different.
Oh,
It doesn't necessarily tie everything up in a neat little bow.
Okay.
It often like ties the elements together in a subtle way, sometimes with like a lingering thought
Okay.
or a connection back to the beginning.
So it's more open-ended?
It's more open-ended
Yeah.
and it leaves the listener with something to ponder.
I like that.
So I think about those stories that stay with you long after you've heard them.
Right.
They often have that element of surprise or like a unique perspective
Yeah.
that makes them stand out.
It's true.
Okay, so we're setting the scene, we're developing the story, we're
right.
adding a twist, and we're ending with a thought-provoking conclusion.
This is cool. I'm going to try this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can make even the most like mundane anecdote
Right.
more captivating.
Yeah, because sometimes you're like, oh, this story's not that interesting.
Right.
But if you add a little twist,
If you add a little twist,
Yeah.
it becomes a masterpiece.
a masterpiece. Yeah.
But, you know, not everyone communicates
Right.
in the same
Everyone
way.
is different.
Everyone's different. And so how do we like tailor our approach
Right.
based on the person we're talking to?
Yeah, because what works for one person
Right.
might not work for another.
Exactly. Like what works for a CEO might not work for like a creative artist.
Totally.
So Yasuda actually outlines 5 key personality types.
5.
5 that you're likely to encounter in both personal and professional settings.
Okay.
And he offers like specific strategies for how to approach each type
Ooh, this is
to
good.
make your conversations more effective.
Okay. I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Okay, so the first type he calls the boss type.
The boss type.
The boss type.
Okay.
So these are individuals who are often in leadership positions. They're assertive and they value efficiency.
Go straight to the point nonsense kind of people.
Straight to the point, non-nonsense.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done.
And so Yasuda recommends that you be clear, concise, and get straight to the point
Okay.
when communicating with boss types.
No small talk.
They don't want to waste time on small talk
Right.
or like lengthy explanations.
Okay.
So cut to the chase. Present your ideas with confidence
Mm-hmm.
and be prepared to answer their questions directly.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
And here's a really interesting tip.
Okay.
Try to subtly mirror the boss type's body language and tone of voice.
Oh, that's interesting.
know.
Like if they're leaning forward,
Yeah.
you lean forward.
You lean forward.
Yeah.
So why would that be effective?
Yeah. Why would you want to mirror their behavior?
So it's actually a subconscious way to build rapport and show that you're on the same wavelength.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if they're leaning forward, engaged in the conversation,
Right.
you might subtly do the same.
Okay.
And it creates this sense of connection and understanding.
So it's like you're speaking their language.
You're speaking their language,
Yeah.
not literally,
Not literally.
but like energetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this could be really helpful in like a job interview
Oh, yeah, for sure.
or a business meeting.
High stakes situation.
High stakes situations.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the boss type.
Okay.
Who's next?
Who's next on our list?
So the next type is the pride type.
Pride type.
The pride type.
Okay.
So these are individuals who have a strong sense of self-worth
Okay.
and accomplishment. They're proud of their achievements.
Yeah.
And they like to be recognized for their expertise.
Like they've earned it.
They've earned it.
Yeah, they've put in the work.
They've put in the work.
Okay.
So how do we approach a conversation with a pride type?
Yeah, how do you stroke their ego without being too obvious?
Okay, so the key here is to acknowledge and appreciate their accomplishments.
Yes,
Genuinely.
definitely.
Like, don't just be like, oh, you're so great.
Yeah, no fake flattery.
No fake flattery.
Yeah.
They can spot that a mile away.
They see.
So offer specific and sincere compliments,
Okay.
focusing on what you genuinely admire about their work or expertise.
Right, so find something specific
Find something specific
and call it out.
and call it out and be like, wow, I was really impressed by that presentation you gave, or
Yeah.
I really loved that article you wrote.
Oh, I like that.
Be specific.
Be specific, and also don't be afraid to ask thoughtful questions. Okay. About their areas of expertise.
Right, because they're the experts.
They're the experts.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're making them feel like the expert that they are, but you're also showing that you're genuinely interested in learning from them.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, and, you know, pride types are often natural mentors.
Yeah.
So tapping into their knowledge and experience can be incredibly valuable.
Absolutely.
Okay, on to the next type.
Okay, who do I have? So next up, we have the analyst type.
The analyst type.
The analyst type.
Okay.
So think logical, data-driven, detail-oriented.
So we're talking about people who love facts and figures.
Love facts and figures.
Evidence-based reasoning.
Evidence-based reasoning.
Got it.
No, like, fluffy stuff.
No fluff.
No fluff.
Okay.
And so when you're communicating with analyst types, it's super important to be well prepared.
Okay.
And have your facts straight.
Do your research.
Do your research. They're not easily swayed by, like, emotional appeals or vague generalizations.
Right.
So back it up with data.
Back it up.
Back it up with data.
Okay.
Research logical arguments.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to get into the nitty-gritty details.
Oh, that's interesting.
Analyst types actually love...
They love details.
They love the details.
Yeah.
They want to know, like...
all the ins and outs.
All the ins and outs, all the nuances.
Yeah.
And they often appreciate a thorough and in-depth discussion.
So it's like a deep dive.
It is a deep dive.
I love it.
With an analyst type.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating because understanding these different communication styles
Yeah.
can be such a game changer.
Or is.
In so many different situations. Like, you have this secret decoder ring.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
For human interaction.
It's like you're speaking their language.
You're speaking their language, but you actually understand.
You understand how they communicate.
How they communicate.
Yeah.
And how to, like, best get your message across.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
I know, this is great.
Okay, so we've covered bosses, pride types,
Yeah.
and analysts.
Those are 3 big ones.
3 down, 2 to go.
Okay, let's hear it. Who are the other 2?
Right, so we've got those bosses, we've got the pride types, and we've got those analysts with all their facts and figure.
Yeah, 3 down, 2 to go.
2 to go. Who else is out there in this, like, conversational landscape?
All right, so Yasuda introduces us to the Nirka type.
The Nirka type.
Nirka.
Okay, I like the sound of that already. Tell me more.
So Nirka is actually short for near character.
Near character?
Yeah, and it's a term they use in Japanese entertainment to describe characters who are like super friendly,
Okay.
outgoing. You know, they bring that bright, cheerful energy to the group.
Oh, I get it. So they're like the social butterflies.
Exactly.
The life of the party.
Yeah, always ready for a good time, always ready to make people laugh.
Okay, so how do we make sure our conversations with the Nirka types are, like, hitting the right notes?
Keep it light, keep it fun, keep it engaging.
Okay.
Nirka types, they thrive on social interaction.
Yeah.
And they love stories that are entertaining and full of energy.
Gotcha.
So focus on building rapport, you know, sharing those funny anecdotes, creating that positive, upbeat vibe.
So maybe not the time to bring up, like, super serious topics or, like,
Right.
overly detailed explanations.
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, think of it like you're at a party or a social gathering.
Yeah.
Right. The goal is to create a relaxed and enjoyable atmosphere where everyone feels comfortable and included.
Got it. Let least have some fun. Embrace that energy of the Nirka type.
Exactly.
All right, that's 4 down, 1 to go. Who's our final conversational companion?
Okay, last but not least, we have the reserved type.
The reserved type.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are individuals who are often more introverted, thoughtful.
Uh-huh.
They may prefer listening to speaking.
Okay, so like the quiet observers who maybe take a little bit more time to open up.
Exactly. And when you're communicating with a reserved type patient is key.
Okay.
Don't try to force the conversation. Don't overwhelm them with too much information at once.
Right.
Create a safe space where they feel comfortable sharing at their own pace.
So it's all about like respecting their boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and giving them the space to process their thoughts.
Exactly. Use those open-ended questions, actively listen to their responses, and be mindful of their nonverbal cues.
Oh, that's a great point because sometimes reserved types, they might not express themselves verbally as much. So paying attention to their body language, their facial expressions can give you those like valuable insights.
It's like you're reading between the lines.
Yeah, you're reading between the lines.
Good.
Okay, so we've decoded all 5 personality types.
It is.
I feel like I'm ready to tackle any conversation that comes my way.
You got this.
But there's one last piece of this Zedon puzzle that I want to explore.
Okay.
And it's this whole idea of following up after a conversation.
Oh, that's so important.
It is because we can do all this work to make a great first impression.
Right.
But then if we don't follow up, those connections can just like fizzle out.
Just fade away.
Right.
Yeah.
And Yasuda actually emphasizes this. He says that following up is what really separates the casual conversationalist from the master connector.
Oh, that's a good distinction.
Right. So what's the secret to a killer follow-up?
So it's not about sending that generic, like, nice to meet you email or message.
Right.
You got to be more thoughtful, be more intentional, reference specific details from your conversation.
Okay.
Because that shows that you were genuinely listening
Right.
and that the interaction was actually meaningful to you.
So, for example, if someone mentioned they were training for a marathon,
Yeah.
you could follow up and be like, hey, how's that marathon training going?
Exactly. Or if they recommended a book or a restaurant, you could let them know that you checked it out
Uh-huh.
and share your thoughts. It's about making that personal connection and showing that you value the relationship.
I love that. And it's keeping that conversation going even after you've said goodbye.
Exactly.
But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really bad at remembering all those little details.
Oh, yeah, it's hard.
What do I do?
Well, remember that small talk notebook?
Oh, yeah.
Yasuda, he suggests keeping that handy.
Okay.
Jot down those interesting facts, those stories,
Mm,
those details that people share with you.
right.
And then when you follow up, boom, you've got all that information.
It's like my secret weapon for building those lasting connections.
It is.
I'm telling you, this whole concept of Zayden has been a revelation.
It really has.
It's amazing how much we can learn from other cultures and how those insights can apply to our own lives.
It's true.
Even though Zedaban is rooted in Japanese culture, these principles of like genuine connection, respectful communication, thoughtful engagement, those are universal.
They are.
And it's a beautiful reminder that every conversation, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, has the potential to create something meaningful.
Absolutely.
And who knows what doors those meaningful connections might open.
It's true. You never know.
Well, this has been such an incredible deep dive.
It really has.
I feel like I've gained a whole new set of tools for navigating the world of conversations.
Me too.
What a journey.
What a journey.
And to our listeners, we challenge you to take these insights and put them into practice.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the details that people share, practice those active listening skills, and see if you can incorporate just one new technique from this deep dive into your next conversation.
You might be surprised by the results.
You might be surprised.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art of Japanese small talk.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy conversing. CCF.